Why does everyone think that they know better than the victim? I was sexually assaulted once in a crowded tube on the way to work. I consider myself to be a very strong person in every sense of the word, but in this instance, I'm not quite sure who I was. The tube was so crowded, as you've no doubt experienced yourself, and we were all way too close to each other, but for some reason on the tube that's okay. I felt something brush my crotch, assuming it was unintentional. I saw a newspaper in someone's hand, assuming that was it, until I felt it again. I looked down to see that a man's hand was there touching me. I honestly felt so shocked and I didn't know what to do, so I pulled my bag across my front so that I was no longer as easily accessible. I can't believe I even had to think of it in that way, but he pushed my bag away and started touching me again. I looked up and he was staring at me in my face. Blankly, it felt like some kind of dream. I pushed him away, but he pushed me back harder. He was hurting me. I had my hands on his arm, but I'd lost all of my strength. Has anyone ever had a dream that they're paralysed and can act to save someone? I have, several times actually, but this time I couldn't save myself. I also couldn't speak. I don't know why. It was his blank stare. I couldn't call it. Couldn't work out whether he was pure evil or mentally ill. I felt so embarrassed. I think another reason I couldn't speak was that I didn't want anyone to know. Anyone to know that I was being touched in that kind of way. Part of me was also worried for him. Yes, I know how stupid that will sound, but what if I yelled and someone had helped me? What would happen to him? Does he know what he's doing? Does he know that it's wrong? Does it even matter? The tube stopped and I rolled to another part of the carriage and my heart was pounding. But I got off at my stop, just one more to go, but he got off too. I tried to walk away, but he was right there, right behind me, but I turned around. I wanted to take all of him in, to remember what he looked like, but he realised what I was doing, and he stopped. I went in the other direction. I'm not quite sure how I made it out of the station, but I did. Said my usual good morning to everyone I saw, and I sat down, but before I knew it, I was crying. A colleague pulled me into a meeting room, made me a sugary tea, but I was shaking. And then I had to tell the story for the first time. And again. And again. And again. I decided to report it to the police. I couldn't live with myself if I hadn't tried to stop this behaviour from escalating. They were great. A male and female turned up to take my report, gave me time to write the embarrassment out, but what I didn't like, however, was the fact that I had to write all of this down. It was so official. They asked me questions I thought were so stupid at the time, like, did you take down the carriage number you were in? The amount of tubes I've been on in my life, not once have I thought to look for a fucking carriage number, let alone write it down. I hadn't even known these things existed. They took my trousers to test them for transfer. That was some odd violation, my trousers being studied in that way, but the hard part was over, right? Telling my boyfriend at the time should have been easy, but it wasn't. He just didn't get it. Why didn't you fuck him off? Why didn't you tell him to fuck off? Why didn't you shout or scream? Why did you let him get so close? This just made me hurt even more because I didn't let him do anything. I was powerless. He went out to play football that night when I went to sleep at the bottom of wine. And when my work colleagues found out, I was subject to more wonderful statements. I thought she was strong. I thought she could handle herself. I am strong! Then I found the courage to tell my mum. A really hard task. She laughed, a girly little giggle before raising her eyebrows and changing the subject. Well, thanks. We need to do better. Sexual assault and rape are not taboo subjects we should turn away from. They're real and they're horrifying, and in most cases, life-altering acts of violence. Women are terrified of admitting their truth. And for those brave enough to face up to what happened to them, they're faced with ridicule. Victims of other crime are not subject to this level of scrutiny. Is that wholly intentional? No, I don't think so. We just need to grow. To develop an emotional intelligence to steer us right and stop us from shaming women for being victims. Because believe me, we beat ourselves up enough.